I have your brain scanned and permanently backed up in case something terrible happens to you, which it's just about to.
Alright, so we've gotten everything out of the way. We're going to turn on our bench light there, get a little bit more light, and take a look at the manual. Of course you're going to have to read the manual. Everybody reads this stuff here, especially in different languages. You know, everybody in the world speaks English, so I don't know why they put different languages in there. But it's going to go through and tell you not to play with this while you're sitting in the bathtub. You know, stuff like that. Operating these on drugs or alcohol is not recommended. So, you know, these are certain things that you're going to need to really, there's going to be a test before they let you drive it. Shows us that we do need some radio equipment, and any RC radio probably for these are going to do. We're going to be using a Spectrum radio that we have in-house here and use for all of our stuff, but everybody's got their choice. You're going to need a motor, which will probably go over what we choose later, but it is a 540 size. You're going to need a battery of some sort, and you also have a requirement for tools. So we're going to need side cutters, curved scissors, and long nose pliers and a knife. I guess nowhere in this kit are any screws, so I don't think we're going to be needing any hex drivers for this kit. But I could be wrong. So, directions people, you forgot to tell me I need hex drivers. Without them I can't build it. Or I could be wrong. As we flip through the pages, it's actually a very, very well laid out manual. As you can see here, it's going to show us all of the different parts and the part numbers, which I think is pretty cool. Shows us all the screw sizes, all the bearing sizes, which comes in handy so you can match up your screw sizes as you're building. And it also goes through each of the individual trees. And for those who haven't built a kit before, trees are pretty important the way that they're laid out, and there's a few things to know. For instance, let's take a look at this tree right here. See if I can focus in, getting it up close. On each tree is a tag marker, and it's basically a parts tree number. And in the example here, this one is AX80031. And then if that's the parts tree number, and then the parts on the tree, somewhere will be a little number that says what part number. So we have part number 1, is all 4 of those are part number 1, and we have part number 2, part number 3, somewhere, there's a 3, I know there is, there we go, part number 3, parts number 4s, all these are number 4, so there is a little number here, and as we're reading the directions and building the kit, it's going to refer to part number AX80031 4. So we look for the 0031 tree, and we'll use part number 4 when it calls for it. And it's pretty common on most kits to be laid out that way. So we're going to take a look here. There's an advertisement. They want us to buy their tools. So, you know, if you really like tools, you should probably buy the Axial tools, because they used to play with the same toys that I did when I was a kid. I still have that, except for my square pegs fit into the round holes and the round hole into the square peg. Now, it was a psychiatrist's office. Never mind. I wasn't a kid. That was just last week. So read their advertisement, buy their shit. So the first page we come to here is another integral part of how we're going to build this kit. Over on the left hand side here is going to show us that we're working in bag A, and it's going to say open bag A. Then it's going to have the part numbers and how many parts. So what I like to do before I get started on a particular portion of a build is to dig through all of the bags and whatnot and pull out all the appropriate parts that we're going to need, lay them out, and then go ahead and start following the directions on how to build. I've never built an Axial kit, so I'm not really that familiar with their directions, but as we get through a couple pages, how they want you to do things becomes very obvious, and it becomes easier to read directions. So don't be afraid. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it on camera here for the first part of this, is to show you that we're looking for bag A. So if you remember from a minute ago, we have a bag that's labeled A. So I'm going to go ahead and open this bag up. What I like to do in a kit, because there's a lot of parts in here and we may not use them all at the same time, is I like to get some kind of a container to put stuff in. Usually something with sides on it. You can use Tupperware containers or whatever you have laying around, little cardboard boxes, whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and empty out bag A. Always make sure that you double check your bags. Make sure there's absolutely nothing in there, because a lot of times there's small parts. So I know I may be a little bit redundant at first here on how to do things, but you know, it'll loosen up as we go along when I don't have to tell you what to do. But again, remember, this is Axial for idiots, so we assume that everybody's like me. Inside of here there are other bags which have parts, and I'll assume that we'll be working on these parts per bag as we go along. So what I'm going to do is try to find a bag that's got this first part number, which is AX30405. It looks like some sort of a little shaft. Doesn't seem to be in this bag. So we'll take a look, and there it is. It's this little shaft right here. So we're going to go ahead and open up this bag and grab our little shaft out. Now it seems there are several shafts in here, and they so far look the same. Looks like there's two of them, and the directions here are calling for the use of one of them. So this is the little shaft here. Got a little hole in it for a cross pin. It's got an area on this end to accept a C-clip, and it's got a little flat area on this side. So directions are calling for one of those, so we're going to go ahead and lay that out. And we're going to go through the bags, and we're going to go ahead and lay out everything, and we'll be right back once all that stuff's laid out.
Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially.